type where it's 180 degrees about a certain point that they'll give you. So an ordered pair in which they want you to use as the center of rotation. That's when you use this formula where you multiply 2 times the a value and then subtract the x value, comma 2 times the b value, subtract the y value. And we'll go over one of these, so if this doesn't make sense right now, don't worry about it. I'll show you here in a minute how to apply this. Then there's also 270 degree clockwise, so that's negative y comma x. And then there's 270 degree counterclockwise, which is y comma negative x. So you'll apply these whenever your homework question or a test question asks you to rotate. So this first example right here says if triangle MNP has vertices M at 1, 1, N at 4, 3, and P at 5, 2, graph the triangle and its rotation 180 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. Okay, so we're going to look up here and we are going to use this one right here. 180 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So first, we are going to write out the original ordered pairs that they gave us. So M is at 1, 1, N is at 4, 3, and P is at 5, 2. And remember, we're using this up here in which the new transformed image is at negative x, negative y. So what that means is if x is 1, we are going to make it a negative x, which is negative 1. So M prime will be at negative 1. And notice also that the y changes signs. So that too will become negative 1. And same for all of these. N prime, instead of 4, will be negative 4. And instead of 3, will be negative 3. And then P prime, instead of 5, we'll have the opposite, so negative 5. And instead of 2, we'll have the opposite, which is negative 2. So now we're going to use these ordered pairs and graph the triangle. Let's start with M prime at negative 1, negative 1. So that'll be M prime. N prime is negative 4, negative 3. So here's N prime. And P prime is at negative 5, negative 2. And so we'll connect those dots. And there is our triangle that has been rotated 180 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. Let's also graph the original just so you can see and visualize. That's M prime, 4, 3 is, oh, not prime. Let me actually erase that, sorry. That's the original image, so we're not going to have a prime there. So that's just M. And then for P, that's at 5, 2. And so you can see, I'll use my red pen, that it went counterclockwise this way about the origin. So that was the center of rotation. And so you'll see how it rotated 180 degrees counterclockwise. Let's look at another example. It says here to rotate the point negative 3, 4, 90 degrees counterclockwise about the point negative 3, 6. Let's first start by plotting both of those points. So negative 3, 4 is right here. They want us to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise around the point negative 3, 6. So that's their point of rotation. So let's plot that. So there's our negative 3, 6. I want you to notice that they want us to go counterclockwise. This would be clockwise. They want us to go counterclockwise. So first we have to see there's 2 units between the first point, negative 3, 4, and the next point, negative 3, 6. See how there's 2 units right there? So if we go counterclockwise, we are going to want to go 2 units to the right. So I will put my new point here, and that is the rotation of this point right here. We rotated it 90 degrees counterclockwise. And I'll go ahead and draw this so you can see the 90-degree angle right there. See that 90-degree angle? And we went counterclockwise. So our new point is at negative 1, 6. That's where it lands when it is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, last one. It says rotate the point 7, 8, 180 degrees around the center of rotation, negative 2, 3. This is the example that I was telling you about earlier, where this is my A and this is my B. And the formula that we are going to use is 2 times A minus X, comma, 2 times B minus Y. Okay, so if this is my X and this is my Y right here, and this is my A and this is my B right there, we're going to plug both of these into our formula and find the new ordered pair at which this point is rotated. So here we have 2 times the A, which is negative 2, minus the X, which is 7, comma, 2 times the B, which is 3, minus Y, which is 8. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 7 is negative 11. And then over here, we have 2 times 3, which is 6. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. So our answer is negative 11, comma, negative 2. That is where this point would land after being rotated 180 degrees around this point at negative 2, 3. Okay, moving on to the next lesson, which is lesson 79, angles exterior to circles. Keyword, exterior, out here, outside of the circle. The definition we're looking at today is exterior of a circle. And that says that the set of all points outside, keyword, the circle. An exterior angle has its vertex, like we said, outside of a circle. So you'll notice when looking at this diagram, angle A is outside of this circle. That's why it's called exterior of a circle. When you see that situation, you're going to apply theorem 79.1, which pretty much says that if you see an angle outside of a circle, the formula that you're going to use is right here, in which you subtract the big arc, CE, minus the small arc, BD, and divide by 2 to find angle A. I will highlight this. This is the formula we're going to be using, and we will practice using these problems down below. Let's start with finding the measure of angle E. Notice it's an exterior of a circle angle, so we're going to apply our new formula in which we subtract the big arc minus the small arc and divide by 2 to find angle E. Angle E is equal to 49 degrees minus 13 degrees divided by 2. Therefore, angle E is equal to 18 degrees. Now, over here, they're asking us to find the measure of angle T, which is right here. We need to subtract the big arc minus the small arc, divide by 2. But notice how they don't give me a measurement for the big arc. However, they do give us these two arcs, and a full circle adds up to 360 degrees. So if I added these two and took it out of 360, I could find what's left for the arc that I need. So 360, subtract the sum of 68 plus 154 equals 138 degrees. Now I can do big minus small, divide by 2 to get angle T. So pause the video and try that, and then come back and check your work. Okay, let's see how you did. Angle T is equal to 138 degrees minus 68 degrees divided by 2. Therefore, the measure of angle T is 35 degrees. Okay, give this one a shot as well, and then come back and see how you did. All right, so we needed this arc right here in order to fill in the formula. We know that this arc is 110 degrees, so 360 minus 110 is equal to 250. Then we can find angle Q by taking 250 degrees minus 110 divided by 2, and angle Q equals 70 degrees. Not bad, right? Super easy. Okay, now for these questions, we have 1 through 12, I believe. 1 through 6 on the first page, 7 through 12 on the next page, and the answers are provided for you on the last page. So I want you to complete these for an easy homework grade of 100, especially after giving you the answers. But I want you to try them. So please use the honesty policy and give them a shot, and then check your work and make any corrections that you'll need to make just to ensure that you did them correctly. So the goal is not to get 100 necessarily, but to learn and be confident in each of these. That's why I gave you the answers on the last page. So let's do an example of each so you can feel confident in these. This is a translation, which we learned a couple weeks ago. It tells you to shift it 6 units right and 3 units down. So for each of these, for example, beginning at J, we're going to go 6 to the right, and we're going to go 3 down. And we're going to plot that as J prime, like so. Then we're going to do the same thing. So for I, we're going to go 6 and then 3 down. And we're going to plot that as I prime. And then same thing for K and H. So K prime, H prime, and then we're going to connect our dots. There we go. And then we can check. On the answer page, we can go to number 1, and sure enough, this is what we got. So we did a good job. So that's translation. Now let's work an example of a reflection. So number 5, I want you to notice it says across the x-axis. And the x-axis is right here. Beginning with S, right here, notice that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from the x-axis. So we're going to start at the x-axis and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be S prime. And then we'll do the same exact thing for the other two coordinates. R is 1, 2 away from the x-axis. So we'll go 1, 2 away, and we'll plot our point right there. Label that R prime. And then lastly, T is also 2 away, and so 2 away from the x-axis would be right there. T prime, connect your dots, and then that's number 5, so let's check our work. And you'll notice that it was reflected across the x-axis, and we got that answer as well. Okay, last kind is the one we worked on today, the rotations. So the first one we did was a translation. This one was a reflection. Now we will do an example of a rotation. So that is down here, number 9. I will highlight it. Rotation 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. You'll go back to your notes and find that one, in which case it's right here, y comma negative x. So let me write that down, y comma negative x. A is located at -3, -3, -1. -3, -1. Notice how we put y in the front. So see how our y is -1. That will go in the front. And then they want the x value to be opposite and then move it here. Our x value is -3, but they want us to use the opposite. So instead of -3, it's going to be a +3. That means that A prime is at -1, 3, which is right here. So there's my A prime. Now we'll do B, located at -1, 4. B prime means that we will move the y value up front, and then we'll use the opposite. So 4 comes up front, and then we use the opposite. Instead of -1, we use +1. So at 4, 1 is our B prime. C is located at 2, 1. Applying the rule, remember the y comes up front, and then we use the opposite sign of the x. So 1, -2. There's our C prime. And we have now rotated using the origin as our rotation, center of rotation. And notice how it rotated clockwise 90 degrees. Notice how A is now over here. So it rotated 90 degrees clockwise. And we can check that was number 9 right here. And that's what we got. Okay, practice those and bring them to class when I see you next. And I will take a completion grade. Hope you guys stay warm and safe.